many times Amelia's been to Disneyland? 1,200, no. 600, no. 365, another number? What did you say, sir? 120, 510. Huh? So far, John, I think, was it you or it was you? Scott, you're the closest. Do you want to tell him how many times you've been? All right. Me, it's defective. No, pull the string out, the thing out the tab. Yeah. And you get it, like, if you hit it. They're slingshots, too, by the way. All right? You can sling them across the room. I am Karen Bruns. I am the founder of Monarch Agile. I am an Agile coach. Play is also at my heart. I'm not going to tell you a ton of things about me because you're going to get a chance to do that a little bit later, or Amelia's going to get a chance to do that a little bit later because I'll be your closing presenter for the day. The fun fact about me, in college, to put my way self through college, I was a singing telegram. Yeah, right? Shut the front door. Yeah, I was a singing telegram. Complete with costume. We won't go into any more detail than that. Shout out to sponsors. We have sponsors, Michael Kelly Harris of SourceCell, Deming Way, Agile Toy Box, Monarch Agile, and the Agile Open Coordinating Committee did a lot of advertising for us, and that is what helped us to come to a sold-out venue, and so we thank you for that. We thank them for that. We're going to have a lot of fun today. So Jill is the person that we interacted with here, so if you enjoy the food today, at the end of the day, we can do a shout-out to Jill. And we had our all-star volunteer was Kat Higgins Duggarty, who did a lot of advertising for us as well. At the end of the, yeah, she's cool. At the end of the last session, we're going to have an opportunity to make a decision. So in our original schedule that we posted online, we had an opportunity for 2 afternoon breaks. We don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you don't feel the need for a second afternoon break at the hour of 3:45 to 4 o'clock, we could just go immediately into the closing ceremony, or we could take a 5-minute break. So be thinking about that. I'm not going to call for an answer now. We'll call for it at the end of the day, all right? So let's take just a minute and introduce yourselves to the people at your table so that you can get a sense of what their first names are. If you want to take just a minute and share a fun fact about yourselves, that would be great too. So let's go ahead and give that a minute now. Go ahead and go. China. No. Yeah. fun fact about these things. We actually had, at a contract that I was at just a little bit ago, we ended up having a number of these things, and I was coaching engagement managers on how to work best together from multiple vendors to support the organization. And so they actually nicknamed themselves the Flingers. Go ahead and share your fun fact. I think you're last on the group. Is that right? No? 3 more? Okay. Can I have you guys pick it up at break? Is that all right? All right. Awesome sauce. All right. So how many of you read our blog that came out talking about the invitation to come and play? Anybody? Yeah. How many people read our blog post that had the invitation to come and play on Agile Toybox? Did you see that one? No? Awesome. Okay. That's great. So I'm going to tell you a story, all right? So this story is about a person that I know, I'm privileged to know. I'll start with the history, the backdrop. So a gamer that I know who is very, very much into games, plays a ton of different ones, video, any kind of game they can get their hands on, card games, whatever. I asked, how come you play so many different types of games? His answer was, he plays all sorts of games so that he can continue to evolve his game, and continue to learn, continue to get better and better. And I thought, isn't that interesting? It kind of sounds like Agile, right? You want to keep trying, get a little bit better and a little bit better. He said it even helps him in his response to change. And I thought, okay, well, this is great, but I've always thought that I'm a person that can do change. Like, if you ask me, I have no problem with change. Change is comfortable. I'm excited about it, right? If somebody says, let's move this up, let's change this up, I'm like the first in line, or so I thought. So 2 years ago, I had the introduction to Agile Games West. Not in this room, but in another one of the rooms. And there was a young woman who was facilitating the session. As I sat in this session, it was to learn about the game Flux. How many people know the game Flux? So I love games in terms of teaching them with teams, right? And I love opportunities to learn myself. So I thought, well, this will be good. So I went in and I sat down. And I sat at a table much like you were sitting at. And in fact, I think our table would have been kind of in this corner over here. There were 5 tables in the room. And we have some seats kind of sparsely all over the room. So I think there's one here. Is this open? Yep, there's one here. Okay. Welcome. We're just getting started. You haven't really missed anything. And so, anyway, we get into this game, and I got to tell you, within the first 30 seconds, I was pissed off. I was angry. I didn't want anything to do with this. I thought this is ridiculous. This is stupid. And I started hearing all this internal talk. And all my internal talk went to real negativity, you know. This is crazy. I don't like this. This is stupid. What happens in Flux essentially is every single hand, every single turn that is taken, the game changes. And I thought, well, this is interesting. This is good, right? But I was still grouchier than hell, you know. Did not want to be part of this, right? The gamers that were sitting at the table, they loved it. They thought it was fantastic. They were like, yes, every time they got some crazy card that really handicapped the next player. It was like they were so excited about it, you know? And all I could do was get angrier and angrier and angrier. And I found myself even, you know, I get this thing. This is my son over here. He can attest. I get this little pursed eyebrow thing when I get really grouchy. And I get kind of, that's the only expression on my face. The rest of it is, you know? And I found that face. I felt it, right? And so I thought, I've got to clean this up. You know, this is not good. I've got to get back into my good coachy spot, you know. I've got to be happy. I've got to be coachy. I've got to be fun, you know. But I was struggling like crazy in this game. And it came towards the end. And the facilitator said, let's do a retrospective. Let's talk about what happened in your team. And so we went to do the retrospective and talk about what happened in the teams. And I got to tell you, I sat there silent because I was irritated. I thought there's nothing good going to come out of my mouth, and I was channeling my inner mother from, when I was a kid saying, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I was channeling that, and I was living to that. Really grouchy, really angry. And this facilitator walked over, and she recognized that I was struggling a little bit. She recognized several people in the room were struggling. And she asked, who knows what a powerful question is? Raise your hand if you know what the phrase powerful question is. Yeah. So she asked a powerful question. And it went something to the effect of, I wonder if this is how your team feels when they're experiencing change. And I got to tell you, it was like, have you ever had somebody say something and you felt like it went right through you and like marked up the wall behind you? That's exactly what happened. And I thought, oh my God, right? And suddenly, like a movie reel playing, all the images of all the times on the current assignment that I was on with my coach, with my team, other coaches and my teams just crying out that the change was happening too fast. They were saying it in different ways, poor behavior and all. I got to tell you, it really stopped me in my tracks. I mean, if you've ever heard the inside of your brain go, like screeching tires, that's exactly what was happening. And the movie reel just kept playing over and over. And I actually teared up a little bit because I thought, I got to figure out how to help my teams, of course, without making them play slugs. Because I didn't want to experience that again. But it was a life-changing experience for me as a coach. It was a life-changing experience for me as a parent and as a wife. And I got to tell you, it rocked my world that day. It also rocked the world of the presenter. Talked with her, I don't recall if it was later that day or the next morning. She said, what did you think of yesterday's session? And so I told her my experience, and her response back was, it was powerful for me too. I quit my job yesterday after doing this because now I know this is what I want to do. This is what I was born to do. I would like to introduce you to that person, Amelia Breton Lake. So, games can change your life. I'm about to bring up your first speaker. What I would like to tell you a little bit about her is that she hails from Seal Beach, California. She's a certified trainer of nonviolent communication. Pretty cool human. I've had the pleasure of attending some of Lorraine's open space sessions at Agile Open in the past, and they've all been amazing sessions. So I'm really looking forward to what she's about to share with us. She's a leadership development consultant, holds a BS in chemical engineering and an MS in environmental engineering. So think about that, chemical engineering and environmental engineering, and NVC. So what that told me when I was looking at your credentials is she knows what a toxic environment is, can recognize it, and can help them communicate through it. Will you please welcome Lorraine Aguilar?
That was a lovely introduction. Actually, do you mind hooking me from the back? Thank you. I'm getting a hookup. Woohoo! All right. Thank you. And I probably would not have learned about nonviolent communication if I wasn't contributing to some of the toxic environments that I experienced in my life. So I'd like to start by just kind of checking in to see how relevant this topic is to you before we go into the game. Please raise your hand if you have ever sent an email while angry and regretted it. Anyone? Wow, that's most of the room. Yeah, it happens. Okay, 2 more questions. Raise your hand if you ever got defensive and later wish you hadn't. Yeah, it's getting. We're humans. We get triggered. Okay. Last question. Have you ever witnessed someone reacting, making what we call a career-limiting reaction? Anyone ever witnessed that? Yeah. Okay. So this is what we're about. The game that you're going to learn today, called Empathy Dojo, is to help you avoid these types of situations. And for that, we have a single learning objective. Is the technique you're going to learn today through the game will help you quickly access empathy. Quick connect with empathy for yourself and empathy for the person or thing or situation that might be triggering you so that you can avoid these career-limiting reactions. So that's the objective of this game. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about why this is important and why this works. And then we're going to jump into the game and finish by debriefing about how this might actually apply to you in the specific challenges you face in your life. So first, a little background. Empathy. You know, we hear more and more, and there's more and more research now that supports the value and the connection between empathy and performance. One of them is empathy creates psychological safety. And I know a lot of you fellow Agilists already know this term. Who can tell me very quickly in your own words, what is the connection between psychological safety and performance that you're aware of? Anyone? Yeah, John. Yeah, if you're psychologically safe, your performance will improve. Does anyone remember how that was revealed in terms of a research finding? Yeah. Yeah. I think she has a TED Talk, Amy Edmondson, on psychological safety. Exactly. There's a number of sources. That is a great TED Talk, by the way. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, in late 2015, Google made a lot of headlines by publishing a research report. Basically, they studied, I don't know how many of their employees, but it was a global study about what distinguishes the high-performing teams at Google from the lesser-performing teams. And they came up with 5 factors. Psychological safety was the number 1 factor. That was the number 1 quality of Google's highest-performing teams. And in a nutshell, what psychological safety is do I feel safe to express my ideas or thoughts or opinions, even if it might not be a popular one? Can I be safe enough to be honest and open and maybe take some risks without fearing that will be held against me or there'll be negative consequences? So that's one factor. A couple others is empathy is the language of, it's the thing that connects us and makes us more inclusive. Who can give me a quick definition of empathy? In layperson's terms, empathy is putting yourself, in someone else's shoes. You know, it's not, oh, I feel so sorry for you. It's not how I feel. It's, what are you experiencing? How do you feel? What's going on for you? What's important to you? And believe it or not, there's a strong connection to innovation with empathy. The beautiful thing about what we know now about brain studies and neuroscience is that the part of our brain that most of us with technical backgrounds have developed, the muscle that we have been